Hey y'all, it's your girl Tanisha Shanae, Miss Inspiration. You do not want to miss this episode. I am going to be talking about the things that you need to consider before moving to a new city or state that you have never been to before. Subscribe, hit like, and if you know anyone that is thinking about moving to a new city or state, please share this video because I guarantee you it's going to benefit them. So stay tuned. Hey, welcome back. So, today conversation is going to be a very quick conversation, but I do believe it's going to have so many gems that it's going to help many people, especially for those of you that are in the process or you are just thinking about relocating to a city or state that you have never been to before. If you don't know my story, I am in the process of relocating to Tulsa, Oklahoma from Brooklyn, New York. When I made this decision, Tulsa was a place that I had never been to. I had heard about it, but I have never been there. And honestly, it was not even on my list to visit. So this was a big, huge move for me to make. So I am here to share with you some of the things that I actually considered for myself. And then some things that I actually researched because I want to give you not just my own personal experience, but just tips that are going to be beneficial to you as you are in this process and pursuit. So if you don't know where you want to move to and you're just kind of like doing your different research, I will recommend that you do think outside of the box, think outside of the areas that you are comfortable with, because oftentimes we can get swayed by popularity or by what you're just seeing on social media. Everyone is like kind of gravitating to certain cities for their own personal reasons, or they're just following the flock. If you don't want to be that person, I would definitely guarantee and I would recommend because you talk to God about it first. Like when I started this process, I really had to step back and say, okay, I know where I would go, but God, where do you want me to go? And I really opened up that conversation. And literally, once I stopped trying to figure this out on my own, and I opened up the opportunity for God to be an active participant in this, I can honestly say to you, things just kind of fell into my lap. And a place that I have never thought about, never considered, never even visited prior to this entire journey came to my mind. Um, so here I am. So some of the things that I did was the moment that I heard about the program, and if you don't know, you can definitely go back. Tulsa Remote is a program that I have joined. They will be paying me $10,000 so that I can relocate to Tulsa for at least a year, and then you pretty much figure out from there what do you want to do. But since I had never been to Tulsa and I didn't know much about it outside of like the Tulsa race massacre in 1921, I said, let me research and figure out if this is a good space and place for me to move to. So the first thing I looked at was like how affordable was Tulsa. Now affordability is kind of it varies. We're talking about taxes. So coming from New York, especially New York City, we typically get taxed very hard. So we get taxed local tax, which is city tax. You get your borough tax. So I get hit with King's tax, New York City tax, and then state taxes. So for me, moving to a state that only taxes you at the state level and not the local level, that's saving me a couple of bucks once I change over everything. Some people that might be coming maybe from like Delaware. I think Delaware is one of those states, or I know definitely Florida. Florida does not tax you at the state level. You might end up having to pay a little bit more in taxes. So these are kind of things that you want to think about because now you're going to look at your net pay and you're going to take home less money, especially for my people that are remote workers. Remote, we're typically known what our paycheck is going to look like. We know, especially going to keep your job. But now, once you change everything over, if you're going from a state that has no state tax to a state that does have state tax, that is going to impact you. But then on the opposite side, if you're coming from a state that has state, city, local taxes, you might actually start saving some money. So that's one way that I kind of measure affordability. The other thing that I do look at is just overall, um, how is the job market? So although I am a remote worker, looking at my different fields and my specialization expertise, if I had to find a job, what would that look like financially for me? Is it going to be as competitive? Am I going to take a major loss? What does that actually look like? I took that into consideration, even though I have a remote job. I mean, at the end of the day, we know that companies downsize, they close, bankrupt, all of those different things. So you just never want to just assume that you're always going to have that particular job. Then the next thing I looked at was how much is the cost of living. Now, cost of living, you want to look at rent. What is the average rent that people are paying there? And then if you are looking to buy a home, what is the average home prices and what does that look like when it comes to your monthly mortgages? What does taxes on your property look like? I know that you really can't determine like how much is the water bill or the electric because that really is a case by case, household by household. But you do want to get an idea. So when I was looking at renting, I was seeing prices. The cheapest that I saw was $550 a month. Now I'm not gonna lie, $550 a month was kind of in the area that it was like, or it was in a complex that I was like, not really sure. But then I also saw things like 950, 2 bedroom, 1.5 bath, washer dryer, and I was like, okay, that's not too bad. I can actually deal with that. Safe area, has a pool, has a clubhouse. So it had a lot of amenities and I felt comfortable with that because if we compare, and we don't want to always compare, but comparing 952 bedroom, 1.5 bath, washer and dryer, you're not getting that in New York City. I'm gonna just tell you that hands down. But then when I decided to purchase, the ranges that I was seeing, if you had cash, you can buy a house as cheap as 65,000. Right? You can get a condo out there, $65,000, literally for 2 bedrooms, 2 baths, wash and dryer, or you have at least wash and dryer hookup, parking, things of that nature. HOAs, not insane. I saw some HOAs $120 a month. And then I saw some, if you wanted to be in the prime area of downtown, you could pay easily $1,000 a month in maintenance. But you're purchasing a condo for about $109,000. I mean, seriously, you got to take all of these things into consideration before you make this move. Now, in alignment of looking for a home, whether you are purchasing or you're renting, please make sure that you're paying attention to different crime stats. You can look at different apps that are out there. You can go to the actual local police website and look at the different crimes that are happening in that particular zip code. But I also would recommend for those of you that are looking to rent, please try to find the reviews for these different apartment complexes and not just one. There are apartment.com. I'm not getting any affiliation, no kind of promo for any of these companies, but I'm just telling you what I was seeing. When I was looking at a lot of apartments at one time, I was going from the actual website to Google reviews, apartment.com, rent.com, homes.com, right? And you're able to see where everything, look at all the reviews. One website can have great reviews, but you go to another website for the same complex and you're getting total polar opposite. So you really got to do your real due diligence before you jump and sign a lease and give your deposit because you could put yourself in a situation where you're someplace that you're locked into a 3, 6, 9, 12, 18 month lease and you don't want to live there. You're not happy. You don't feel safe. You hate the apartment and anything could potentially happen. So please make sure that you are doing like thorough research. Try to tap into as many websites that are available about those particular apartment complexes and read about them. Go into this really understanding this is a place that you don't know. And even if you are just looking at one review, if that one review is the only review, that also might say there might be something wrong here because there's only one and this apartment complex has been around for how many years? Let me think about this. Now, the other thing in conjunction with that, I just want to just throw in there, you got to think about, so I'm staying on the renting side. Stay here for a minute. Now, depending on where you're coming from, when I was looking at renting, I was like, I'm coming from a co op condo experience in Brooklyn. That means that I have neighbors upstairs, neighbors to the side of me, neighbors all over. And I had to ask myself, if I was to rent, do I want to rent in an apartment complex or do I want to rent a house? Look at that market and see what is the housing for rent of renting a house. That might be your option as well. Now, I will say that some places, especially outside of New York City, the renting process is a lot easier. Like New York, people not really getting into apartments quick. But places like Tulsa, I've heard people literally go see an apartment, put their deposit, and they moving in 2 days. That's not really heard of too often in New York City, like literally. So you also have to think about, how much resources do you have? Do you have the deposit? Now, what I can say is that for most of the apartment complexes that I've seen in Tulsa, and I'm only speaking about Tulsa, was the deposits was not even equal to the month's rent. So they were not, the rent was 700, your deposit was not 700. I was seeing your deposit might be $200. So that's something to keep in mind. The other thing that I did notice is that if you did rent out a house, I did see that if the rent was 900, then your deposit was 900. So that might be the one difference. But I will say, if you like more privacy, and the area does allow, it has a high rental for homes, take that into consideration, but also look at what will you be covering, because I do notice that even with the apartment complexes out there, you're still responsible for trash, you're still responsible for water, right? I didn't see too many places that you were not paying water and trash, like it was a line item in your rent. So that is also something that you should keep in mind when you are thinking about renting, whether an apartment or house. Now let's go to the other side, buying a house. Same thing. You want to make sure that, is it in a safe area? Is it in this area that you think that will be comfortable for you? And then when you start the process, make sure that you're partnering up with a realtor that's going to have your back. I will in another video introduce you to my realtor, because I think that I had a fair advantage, because I had someone who was also new, not like brand new, but who was one that moved to Tulsa. So they had the same mindset that I did. And I think that was very important for me. But in my research, I just literally, the app that I use, and I'm going to put an image over here of the app, but that's the app that I use. I'm going to put the link down in the bottom. I found it on iOS App Store, and I literally just downloaded it. And every time that I saw a unit or a house that I was interested in, I would type in the address, and then it would tell me, and it wasn't like the updates was like 5 minutes ago. It's not like the Citizens app that we typically use here in New York City. But it would give me like, hey, there was a shooting and a block away 2 weeks ago. There was vandalism last week. There was some burglary a month ago. They was giving you some kind of like indication of what type of activities was happening. So I was using that, and then there was another website that I was going to, and I was also looking at different forms, because I wanted to make sure, like, I need to feel safe. I know that there's no place that's going to be 100% safe, but I also know that I had to make sure that I was safe enough and did not want to put myself in a predicament that I was going to, be afraid to go outside, or, I'm like sitting up scared because I don't know if someone's going to break into my house. So you really have to do due diligence, whether you are renting or you are owning. But when you're looking at buying a house, you do want to kind of think about, what is your budget, right? What are you paying right now, wherever you are? And if you could find a way to reduce your expenses. Now, my strategy was I wanted to reduce my monthly expenses by at least 20%. I think I was able to do that by, I mean, like as far as just the mortgage. We're not talking about lights, all of that, taxes, none of that. I was able to reduce it by about 22%, which to me was bomb.com. But you do have to take into consideration that you are paying taxes, you're paying water, you are paying for your trash, you are paying for the gas and the electric, you're paying for all these things. Now, was I paying for these things in New York City? Absolutely. But sometimes we just kind of get, I mean, I kind of got overwhelmed when I first realized, like, wait, I gotta call all these different companies and get all these different accounts set up. It was overwhelming for me. Like I wasn't used to that. I knew that when I got my place here, at my first apartment, I had lights and gas. When I moved here, my gas was covered in my maintenance, so I cut off the gas, and I moved on my life. And I just called and said, "Hey, I got Con Ed. I'm so moving from this address to this address," and that's all that I did. And then if you decide to get internet, cable, all that, to me, that is all luxury. And then I invested in a security system, right? I need to make sure that because I travel a lot, I'm an inspirational speaker. I do speaking engagements, I do workshops. So there's going to be times that I will have to leave my house, or I may come back to New York, visit my family, or I might just go on vacation. I need to be able to have eyes on my house. Okay. So I had to make that extra additional payment. Additional payment. Yeah, I did. Now the good thing is I had to look at how was my insurance going to play. And I'm talking about car insurance. Now, New York City, if you have heard that New York City car insurance is high, it's not a lot. Our car insurance is quite ridiculous. So I really was thankful that when I started doing the pricing for Oklahoma, I was like, oh wow, like I'm gonna go from that to this. Oh wow. Even, because I still have my co-op, like I'm not getting rid of it. But even that went down. And then adding the home insurance, it was just like I was really blown away at the numbers. So I can honestly say I'm saving like over 170, I think $170 in insurance, and I have an additional policy. Okay. So sometimes these moves are going to be beneficial. So please make sure that you can just call your insurance company and say, hey, can I just get a quote for, you can give them the kind of roundabout address, and they can give you a quote of what your car or what your home or your apartment is going to look like as far as insurance. And this way you can kind of get some ideas and start gauging, is this going to cost you more money or it's going to cost you less money? Right? Take that in consideration. Now, the next thing that you want to also look at is the other part of cost of living. What does buying groceries look like? What is gas looking like? Now, gas is something that we just have a problem across the United States all over. But there are going to be some areas where you can find gas for like 3.29. Whereas you go to California, I think California right now might be still close to $5. Right? So you have to figure out, is this going to be worthwhile for you? Are you going to save some money if you were to have a car in this particular city versus in your old city or the city that you're currently living in? Pay attention to all of that. Don't be blind. Don't leave no stone unturned, because this is going to be so important for you. The other thing that you're going to have to do is make sure that you are informed of, like, what is there? What stores are there? Do you have the stores that you already shop at? Can you still kind of like still eat the same foods? Is it going to be a huge difference in your diet, in your diet altogether? Will you have access to foods? I have heard of people moving out into like rural areas where their neighbors are like 50 miles away, and the nearest supermarket or store is like 25, 30 minutes away from them. Like they're like literally isolated. Are you in that situation, or will you be in that situation? But I knew that for me, I kind of sat down. I said, okay, what do I need for me to make this move? What's important to me? I shop at Aldi, I shop at Trader Joe's. When I can find a Walmart, because in New York City, if you don't know, we don't have a Walmart. We have to go to either Jersey or Long Island or Westchester. Do I have a Walmart? I was like, so Aldi, Trader Joe's, Walmart, Target, if I need to get some like home stuff. And then do I have any of like the other stores that I might shop at as far as like clothing? Now that didn't really bother me because I feel like if we just really pay attention to what's going on across the globe, across the country, because I can't speak for the globe, but like we don't really have malls anymore. Like New York City, our malls are either going away or they're just bringing a bunch of like Targets, Burlington Coat Factories, Macy's, and they're just throwing it into one. And you might get like one or two stores like Old Navy, Body Shop, but you're not really getting a lot of clothing stores. And I'm a plus size. We don't really have any more plus size. Like Lane Bryant is a hit or miss depending on which area. Ashley Stewart, same thing. So I was like, is that really a bother for me? Like, if I can't get a pair of pants, because as long as I can get access to Amazon or I can have something to deliver to me in a couple of days, then I'm okay because that's what I'm already dealing with. So, again, you have to evaluate what is important to you. It's not going to be the same thing for me, but what is important to you? Do you need to have access to go into these stores? Do you need the big malls that have the Macy's, the Nordstrom racks? Do you need those things? So you have to take that into consideration. But I will say, learn about that area and see what they offer. The one thing that I know is that every area, every region has different supermarkets, they have different stores that will still cater to us. So I know like when I went down to Myrtle Beach last year, like the only supermarket that was in the area outside of Walmart was Publix. We don't have a Publix in New York. We don't have a Publix in the Northeast. So that's where I had to shop. I wanted to buy groceries. If I didn't want to keep going to Walmart and giving them my money, I can go to Publix. But I think Publix and Weiss. I think they had a Weiss. They had another supermarket, but it's not sticking out to me. Is that important to you? Get to know what these other supermarkets are offering. Go to their websites, pull up their circulars, right? Any store that you shop at, whether it's frequently or you go there once in a while, I guarantee you the new place that you're going to has a store that is similar. I'll give you a perfect example. I like, what is the name of that store? National Liquidators. National Liquidators is the store that kind of has like everything home stuff. You can go there and get like your soaps. You can get like all the holiday stuff. They have like a whole bunch of Christmas trees out already. You can get luggage. You can get a lot of stuff from National Liquidators. They don't have a National Liquidators in Tulsa. They didn't have it in Myrtle Beach. But in Tulsa, they have something called like Ollie's. I think I'm pronouncing it right. And Ollie's is kind of equivalent to what a National Liquidator is. How do I know that? Because I went to their website and I pulled up their circular. So it's not going to give me the same exact thing. It's not going to be the same exact store, but they offer the same comparable things. So you just got to figure it out. Like, do they have at least something similar to what I'm accustomed to? And then you can start like really getting. But if I give you one recommendation, one thing to consider, visit. This is the last thing that I'm going to touch on. If you can, please go visit. Please visit. Visiting is going to give you a feel for that area. Visiting is going to allow you to see the land for yourself, to hear, to experience the people, to go and taste some of the foods. Don't eat the foods that you can only buy here. Don't go to Starbucks. Go to the coffee shop that is local there. Don't go to McDonald's. Go to the diner. Get to know the area. Experience the area. I was thankful that I took the opportunity for Tulsa Remote. They offered they offer for us to come for a hosted visit where they took us on a tour. They allowed us to kind of see what's the happening places, and they actually reimbursed us. This is something that I really hope that anyone that is looking to go to do Tulsa Remote, I'm speaking to you. If that is something that you're interested in, take advantage of that because I want you to go there for yourself. not listen to the critics on the internet, not listen to Tanisha Janae Miss Inspiration, not listen to the people that have never been anywhere outside of the city limits of where they live, and go there for yourself. How do you feel there? Trust your gut. What is your intuition telling you? And then allow that to take you on that journey. If you don't get that opportunity, at least if you do the other things that I recommend, you will be in a better place of making a decision for yourself. Because you don't realize that just making blind decisions, not knowing anything, you're setting yourself up to be frustrated, stressed, and depressed. And then you think you're going to meet other people there and you think you're going to pass that on. Some people are not going to pay you any mind. They're going to pick up their stuff and they're going to walk away from you because they don't want to pick up your frustration, stress, or depression. Okay? So I hope that if you are taking any of making any thoughts, you're like, look, I'm thinking about it. I want to leave my city. I want to do this, but I don't know. But I heard about this city. Maybe I should go. I've never been there before. Then please, everything that I've recommended, please make sure that you take heed to that and you make the decision that is going to be best for you. And like I said, don't think about anyone else. Don't worry about what they're saying. Because guess what? You can go to a new city and visit, and you can meet 100 people, right? Think about the survey. Think about Family Feud. We surveyed 100 people, and the top 5 answers were, you can survey 100 people, and you can ask 100 people who have lived there, who have just moved there, who are just visiting, do you like the city? And you're going to get to no, yes, I love it. It's okay. It could be better, right? So you have to sit here. The only way that you're going to know if this is for you is by experiencing it for yourself. And if you don't get the opportunity to go and experience it before you make that leap, then you know what? Take that leap, but trust and believe that if God is taking you and He is sending you there, He got you. That you're going to be in the best hands. You just got to make the best experience of it. You got to open up your mind's heart and body and soul and say, look, I'm ready to explore and experience. And I'm going to give myself a full year because I want to see myself go through all seasons in this place. Because I guarantee you, you're going to find something there that if you allow yourself to experience, you're going to be like, yo, I'm looking forward to this every year. I want to be here next year so I can experience XYZ. I'm just telling you. So, like I said before in the beginning, if you have not hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification so you can always be notified when a new video is live or posted so that you can stay in tune. And for those of you that have been following me on my Tulsa remote transition to Tulsa journey, please stay tuned. And for those who are just looking for a little bit of inspiration in their own lives, stay tuned as well because that's exactly what I do. That's who I am. I am Miss Inspiration. And I thank you for joining me and I thank you for being here and just being a part of this community because we are out here doing some amazing things. And I want you to start doing the same amazing things for yourself. You hear me? So I love you all. You be well. You be blessed. God loves you and I love you as well.